It's Christmas. That means there's a new Doctor Who Christmas special, which we have just watched. So it's time for another probably chaotic review because these two are involved, especially this one, causes the chaos.
On the last Christmas one, I was pretty good.
You got compliments.
At least when you guys said I was good.
Yeah, you did. You said, yeah, very good. So you've got your notes. I've got my notes. Rowan's just here to cause chaos. You going to cause chaos?
No.
No? Oh, excellent. Are you going to tell us what you thought about Doctor Who?
Yeah.
Cool. Let's do it.
Well,
Go first. What were your likes?
well, I didn't write down my likes, but the bit I really liked was definitely the dino bit and how the briefcases switched, and we'll get more into that later. But I kind of want to just start from at the start of the episode.
Yep. Start of the episode. We got the pre-credit scene with some like hopping between different hotel rooms. We don't know really what's going on at this point.
Yeah,
We just know there's a pumpkin latte and a cheese toasty or something that the Doctor has got.
So at the start, like the first room the Doctor goes into, before that, there's a lady and a man, and there's a war going on outside, and the lady's just inside playing some chess.
Yes, she is.
I thought, and she was like, close the window, please. You know there's a war going outside.
What I do like about these scenes is that other than that war one, does that come back again? I'm not sure. But the other scenes come back in the finale and are relevant to the sort of conclusion of the episode and how he solves the problem that they have throughout the episode. So there's a nice bit of sort of Chekhov's thing there. Rowan seems to be disappearing, but never mind. Going into when we get post the credits, something I noticed is that they reused a bit of music from a previous Christmas special, or at least a new version of it, because I swear I could hear the stowaway from the music, the stowaway from the episode Voyage of the Damned in there. Was that just me? Oh, what are you doing with my hat? My Christmas hat. All right. And so I thought that was a nice little touch. Oh, my Christmas hat down. So that was a nice little touch. The Doctor pretending to be a sort of agent of the company that runs the Time Hotel was a nice little touch. Kind of secret agent vibes that he was going with there with Trev. Quite like that. Oh, my light's fallen over.
But
What can I say about?
no, I want to say a but.
I want to talk about.
I want to say.
Talk about the secret agent stuff, just very quickly. Chaotic, see, I told you.
So I was just gonna say about the Time Hotel. It's about all of this history that was from the past. That's what I was gonna say.
I was going to say about the sort of linking up with Trevor and being a secret agent thing. He called himself Special Agent Clint Rock. Now I just have to ask, what's wrong with John Smith? That's his usual alias. Where's this Clint Rock coming from? It's fine. But, what's wrong with John Smith? Hey, what's wrong with John Smith? I did like Trev. He was fun.
Yes.
Trev was a fun character both in this part and the way he takes on with gusto being an agent for the Doctor and is on this mission.
I really liked it.
He was really fun.
Yeah. Also, I felt sorry for him when he was getting disintegrated, I guess.
Yeah.
And he was just like, I failed.
I know, that was a little bit sad, wasn't it? And he'd taken on this mission with such gusto, and then fairly soon afterwards, he sort of disintegrated. What's your favourite bit, dude? Gotta speak loudly.
My favourite bit is the same as Paige's.
Is it?
Yeah.
Cool. What's the bit with the dinosaur?
Yeah. I didn't say that was my favourite bit. I just said I like that one.
The stuff with the briefcase wasn't what I was expecting, but was really interesting. The way that it kind of latched onto people and kind of took them over. I thought that was an interesting thread to go down.
So I have a lot about the briefcase.
Oh, I say it.
So not like much in this part. There's a bit later as well. But the briefcase. The briefcase can switch between people. So if you take it from them, it will clip onto your hand instead. And it will kind of control you. And I can't remember exactly what they were saying. They kept on saying like...
They said the star will rise the star will burn and the flesh will rise.
Yeah. So whenever you got that on you, you do like say that repeatedly. And also if you'd have it and then it got off you, you would die and disintegrate at later we find out that there's this like star inside it, and that's kind of where they are.
And some of this we knew already from the previews, that it was a weapon that they needed to be back in time to charge up. So we kind of knew that already. But there was this extra bit that we hadn't known about by it switching between people that kind of upped the stakes a bit. The people that we had seen in trailers and things that we thought might be the bad guys were just innocent bystanders. And there's a nice kind of element to that works really well. And of course, when Joy just grabs hold of it because of her frustration of her the conversation between the Doctor and the Silurian, she grabs it and then it latches onto her, and now her life is in peril because she might get disintegrated. So that was all really interesting.
Oh, it was really cool how when the Doctor opened the case, she finally came back to her senses, and she was worried about dying and stuff. And then when he closed it, she was kind of like not like straight away, but after like she got out the room, she was kind of back to normal, saying the same lines and stuff.
I think the actor did a really good job here. Nicola Coplin, I think her name is. If I'm getting that wrong, I apologize. I think she did a great job as Joy, showing those differences between being controlled, when she wasn't controlled, when she gets angry later on, when she gets sad, that fake like cheerfulness that she had that is exposed by the Doctor later on. She did a really good job at portraying all of those. So she did fantastic.
I also liked when he was trying to figure out the code to make sure that Joy wouldn't die and disintegrate and stuff. And then the Doctor runs in. So there's 2 doctors in the room, and they just tell him the code. And I love it when he like argues with himself, and he's like saying mean stuff basically to himself. He's like, you know, you're alone, and then you realize you don't have any chairs. And then when the other Doctor leaves, he's like, oh, I have no chairs.
It's like he's going to therapy with himself.
Yeah.
It's quite nice. Yeah, I like that bit. That was a nice touch. Which of course leads to, because I thought this 2 Doctor thing might go on a bit longer, but it kind of instead led to the Doctor having to take a year living in the slow lane and working at this hotel, which had some lovely heartfelt moments with his interactions with the hotel owner or worker or manager, and also some really funny moments like the moment where he's handed a sink plunger and asked, "Is this armed?" Obviously a reference to the Daleks' sink plunger arm. And oh yes, the bit about the sat-navs and the fact that he'd made it. She says, "It doesn't take me where I want to go," and he says, "It takes you where you need to go," which is of course what the TARDIS always does.
So I wanted to talk about that a bit. So he decides to work there because of course he has no money and he needs to get a room. So to get the room, he decides to work there. And later, I don't know what this means, but the girl, what's her name?
I don't quite get that. Oh, Anita, yes. Well done.
Anita, she was just in his room. They have a little moment, they have a little chat, and then he says, have a chair. And I'm like, what does that even mean?
Take a seat, I guess.
Take a seat?
Yeah, have a chair. Sit down.
Have a chair.
Did you like it when there were 2 Doctors on the screen, Rowan?
Yeah.
Was that good?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I thought they will fight himself.
You thought he would fight himself?
Yeah.
He argued with himself a little bit.
So you have the same scene again, of course, because this time he's not the past, he's the future. Well, the one we know. And then we kind of get to see what happens after the Doctor closes the door and leaves. And that's when they go into the dinosaurs.
Yes, the dinosaur bit. Up until that point, he'd been being really mean. Well, there was a bit where he was being really mean to Joy, which I found a little unnerving, like the Doctor being really deliberately mean.
But it was for a purpose.
It was for a purpose, yes, to kind of break the hold the briefcase had on her. But yeah, just like it was really strange seeing the Doctor being that mean.
And like about her name and stuff, like that was really mean. And also, yeah, so she gets really angry and she's like, and then she doesn't even realize that the briefcase is on the floor over there where she was.
And we find out in that bit why she is in the hotel alone at Christmas, and it's because of her guilt that her mum died in hospital alone in 2020 when she wasn't even allowed to visit. The word isn't mentioned, but because of COVID, I think this is the first time the TV show itself has dealt with COVID at all and even mentioned COVID. It was like the Whittaker era had kind of just ignored it. But this has kind of tackled it head on, and the first time. Big Finish has done it in audio and mentioned it, but this is the first time that we've actually got acknowledgement on a TV episode of COVID existing. And, that bit was quite, powerful. And like, as someone that like had people in hospital around the same time, that was quite affecting, because at the same, Rowan was born in March 2020. Him and my wife were in hospital for 4 days, and I wasn't allowed to visit when he was first born. And at the exact same time, in fact, the night he was born, my mum had a stroke, and she was in hospital for months, and literally nobody could go visit her. The only communication we could have with her was on an iPad. Luckily, nobody I know died during that time, thankfully. But I absolutely empathized and connected with that moment there, and what Joy maybe felt in that moment, which is really, really nice.
I'm just going to move on from this anime. Let me go. We're trying to talk.
You can go back in the other room if you want.
No. I loved how the case, so it was just lying on the floor. They approached it, and it just started snapping at them, trying to get at them, and I loved it because it looked like, it was alive. I really liked that. And then I wrote in capital letters, Dino, because that's when there was a big shock, and the dino just ate half of the platform that they were on.
And they do the resolution, like I said earlier, does kind of tie in those time zones from earlier, getting the rope from the Mount Everest and the grappling hook, and then because this briefcase has been left for millennia and they need to track it down again. When Trev comes back in, brilliant again. He was brilliant at the beginning, and I really like Trev. And then it's all nicely wrapped up. Almost, but the Doc's plan doesn't quite go to plan, because Joy, when he goes back to find the briefcase, which he's planning on taking into space in the TARDIS, Joy has joined with it.
Yeah, that kind of confused me, because they both disappear, and there was this alleyway. So he walked up it, and there Joy was, glowing, where her heart is.
Yeah. She tells him that he needs to change as well and get a friend, which is that often happens at Christmas. The part-time companion tells the Doctor he needs someone with him, and then in the next episode in the regular series, he goes off and finds a new friend. That kind of is a trope of the Christmas episodes, and it's maintained here. But she sort of feels like that's what she needs to do, and ascends. This will be the flesh is rising part of the prediction, and goes up into the sky.
I was about to say that she lifts up into the sky and just disappears. That's probably my favorite part, except for the explosion bit where she just goes up and there's...
Yeah, well, she becomes the star, doesn't she? She and all the other people that got absorbed by the briefcase become the star. So I guess the implication is that her consciousness lives on in that star, and that star is scattered all throughout all the time zones the hotel was connected to. But prediction from my prediction video, the time period it actually happens in is indeed Bethlehem, at some point where some free camels happening to be trekking along. So yes, my prediction that it is the Star of Bethlehem absolutely came true there. And a really heartfelt, touching bit at the end where, because it's this star has propagated all throughout history, her mum in 2020, just before she dies in a hotel bed, sees it out the window, and that's really sweet and touching, and that literally, it did get a tear in my eyes, that little bit, that word really did touch me.
I mean, you always cry with sad movies.
Yeah, sometimes I do, yeah. And then, but nothing else in this episode had hit me that much, but that bit really did. But then her mum, she somehow gets absorbed into the star as well, so Joy and her mum are reunited, and that's lovely and sweet. And yeah, it's I thought overall, was there any bits in it you didn't like?
Let me think. I'm trying to think about every single part. I don't think so.
No, I mean, I didn't write anything down. There wasn't anything on first viewing that sprung out at me as I really didn't like this. Some of the conversation when both the Doctor, the Solarian, and Joy are all in the hotel room, and there's a lot of conversation about I can't remember exactly what it was. It was something about mansplaining. I mean, I like the line about the Doctor that hey, when he's in the room, it's ultra mansplaining, because that's kind of all he does all the time and all he will ever do, regardless of what mansplaining, doctor-splaining, I suppose it really should be, because he does it whoever he is, because he's the doctor and he has all this knowledge in his head. But yeah, there was some conversations in there that kind of went on a little bit too long, I think, or kind of like felt like they were hammering a point that was like a bit needless there. But other than that, I thought this was a fun episode. It wasn't quite the episode that I anticipated it being, but it was a lot of fun and a fun Christmas romp.
Yeah, it wasn't the best episode that has ever been out, but it was really good, I think.
How would you rate it compared to last year's Christmas special with the goblins? Is it better or worse than?
Oh, it's worse. I prefer the goblins.
You prefer the goblins? See, I think I prefer this one to the goblins.
I prefer the goblins.
Fair enough. Yeah. But then again, this is a Stephen Moffat script, and I always preferred Stephen Moffat's Christmas specials than Russell T Davies written ones, and he wrote the goblin ones. So, yeah. It's got that kind of timey-wimey stuff I liked. It was all overall, I really enjoyed it.
I mean, I really liked how the baby was kidnapped and then they slowly worked out how it was kidnapped.
Oh, in last year's? Yeah.
In the last years.
Yeah. What did you think of this? Let me know in the comments below. And you can check out our trailer reaction that we just recorded for the brand new season that's coming at some point in spring, I think it is. So you can check that out here.
It looks really good.
It does.